Now we're
You approve that
live.
this is going to go onto the internet?
I did approve it,
Okay.
luckily.
You won't get any advertisements from me now because now the algorithm is clicking in and now you have to come to my workshop.
And for those listening in, we were just having this whole conversation about how Facebook very cleverly knows what it is we've been searching for or looking to purchase, and suddenly we get the ads. Aren't we lucky?
It's amazing. All the varieties of the same thing that I need from Facebook. However, anyway, it's all good.
Welcome.
I'm going to let go
Hello.
of the control. I'm going to let go of the control of that because that's the topic of tonight. Letting go of control.
Okay.
And I know we talked about control or a lack thereof the last time we talked, but that wasn't the topic per se.
No, I think the last topic was embracing change. So this felt like it was maybe an extension of that, but not quite about control.
Yeah, I think there's definitely tie-ins there. So the reason I want to bring this up is because I had to let go of some control leading up to a workshop I delivered in town last week. And I put a lot of pressure on myself that this has to work. It's got to be, good or whatever. And that people have to come and I have to make some money. And I kind of made a big deal of it leading up to the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't getting any traction. And I just felt like I was like constantly in advertising mode, but not wanting to push people away. So I kind of felt like I was like a really needy person in a bar who just has to hook up, and you're just talking to everybody just to,
if I speak to enough of them, someone's bound to say
odds
yes.
will go up, right? I have a shot. And anyways, I just think that the neediness was kind of counter energetically towards me actually attracting in the right people. So anyways, it's just kind of my little joke about myself and how I was being. But I really was excited about the process and putting the workshop together and all that stuff. So I think it was the night before, and I really didn't have a lot of traction with people signing up. And then the owner of the shop is like, yeah, I'm not feeling great or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, it's all falling apart. So that night I went to bed pretty stressed. But the next morning I was able to settle myself, and I made a decision. I said, look, there's nothing I can do here other than show up and deliver. That's all I can do. I can't, I need to let go of needing to control what people are going to do or not do, which ultimately I do not have control over. And so I said, yeah, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do it. So I showed up at the shop that afternoon or that morning, I can't remember. And I said, hey, I'm going to deliver this no matter what. If it's just you and me, then it's just a one-on-one conversation and you get to learn and it's all good. I get practice doing this. So that's what I plan to do. And once I decided that that's what I was going to do, it's like everything almost instantly clicked in. So she's like, no, I feel good. I think I'm good to go tonight. Oh, and there's this other person I think would like to come. I'll give her a call and I'll follow up with her. Okay, great. No pressure. And then I got
bonus, there'd be two people.
Now there's two people. Then I got in my car and I got a text from a couple that said, yes, we're in 100%. I'm like, okay, so I just have to stop caring about people showing up and doing all that and just focus on what I can control, which is me showing up and delivering. And it was the perfect amount of people for the first time I delivered it. It was the right people. They were engaged and they got it. And they, as soon as I was done my presentation part of it, they're like, can I get a copy of that? So I was like, okay, this was the right group. But it wasn't until I let go that I think that things flowed for me.
Yes, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we do get caught up in words that were coming to me: expectations, desired outcomes, the way it should look, all of those things.
A room full of people. which maybe in hindsight probably would have stressed me out more, right? So I think just letting go that I have no control over what other people do. I can make an offer, they can decide if it's right for them or they want to participate, and that's it. There's no amount of arm twisting that I'm going to do that's going to make that make the right people come.
Correct. I think that's a really good phrasing there, because you can twist people's arms and you can say there are things you can say to get people in a room, but they don't ultimately want to be there and they're going to not be interested, and so they won't be the right people in the room. So yes, there's a number of things around here in Australia where they very proudly say, we'll get bums on seats for you. It's like, yeah, but are they the right ones? I don't know if they will be. Because just having a number of people in the room goes back to your bar analogy, right? Get enough people in the room and one is bound to respond well.
Yeah. It was just, for me, it was just a recognition that you can't do it all. You can only show up and own your intentions, what you want to do, the decisions that you make, the thoughts that you're thinking, and leave it there. You can't impact other people who don't want to be impacted or who aren't ready, and just trust that it's working out. And the fact that I really enjoyed myself, I think was good. Like I didn't feel like I had to perform or do anything. Like maybe if I was more car salesman-y, I maybe had got more people in there. But
again, that
then
wouldn't have been aligned.
Salesman, and then what have I done? I'm just soiling my brand and who I am, what I stand for.
And you wouldn't have been able, then it wouldn't have been a match anyway, because when they would have got there, you would have not gone with that approach, because that's just not who you are. So in person, you just wouldn't, no matter how much you tried, it just wouldn't come out like that. And so then there'd be confusion, because you'd be saying, pre-event, you're saying one thing, and then when you show up at the event, you're getting this different message. So yeah, you've got to stay in alignment. But yes, this control, like actually trying to make things happen. And that word trying, when we try, we immediately lose our power. And when I talk about power, meaning our ability to stay centered, our ability to stay in our own space. When we try, we are stepping out of that space and pushing something that may not need to be pushed.
It's interesting you say it like that, because I've been trying to put out a lot more. I've been trying to put out a lot more content, but in a more authentic way. So I found that post workout, it's like I have some sort of clarity from almost like a moving meditation, and then I have something that's I consider to be worthwhile to share. And that's how I've been doing it. And this morning I'm like, I should put something out there. So I got my camera and I set it up, and I'm trying to put something together. And it was just so forced. And then I'm like, okay, I guess that message it's taking too much energy to do. And then I go outside, I work out, and I'm like, no, this is the message. Out it goes. Like, and it was easy.
Yes, when we've got that push. Now, so I want to distinguish that idea from, it's good to push beyond what our comfort zones are to extend ourselves. But when we're pushing, really all we're doing is pushing up against a very strong brick wall, and nobody can see or hear us, because you just can't get through. So we're better off when we feel that first hit. Just go, yeah, no, do exactly what you did. Just go, no, not now.
I bumped up against it a little bit more before I got there. However, before you can make any shift or change, you have to notice what you're doing that's not working. So yes. I recognized earlier today that just wasn't flowing. And why should I keep pushing down a direction that doesn't feel like it's serving me right now? So let it go. and whatever shows up, if something shows up later, I'll share that. And that's how it worked. And it was so much easier.
Yeah. And sorry for that small interruption there of an alarm going off on my phone. That was very disruptive. Just acknowledging that I had a silly alarm go off.
It's all go. You can't control that.
Well, I could have chosen to reset that. So but that's part of life. We have alarm. Well, I have many alarms on my phone.
So knowing that I struggled with control this week, I'm curious if you had any issues with letting go of control.
I always have issues with letting go of control. I have a historic nickname called Control Freak. So the control thing has always been a bit of a theme in my life. And I know where it stems from. It stems from a lot of insecurity and not trusting that I know enough, or that I am enough, or that anyone will like what I have to say, or will I even say the right thing, or, oh my God, it just goes on. Seriously, it's a whole lot of that. So the control freak in me gets activated when I'm feeling insecure.
Mm.
So there were two incidences that come to mind. The first one, I just have to continue this story because everyone, I often share about my daughter. Well, we all know, and if you're listening in on the first time, she's just recently moved out, so that's great. But now what's happening is I'm struggling. She's not. I'm struggling with, well, we have an event we're going to in a few days' time, and I wanted to suggest to her, about the logistics of getting to said venue. And she came up with this random idea. And she was like, oh, well, I'll probably just get my partner to drop me at the train station and then I can meet you there. And insert insecurity within me, I go, well, that doesn't logistically work, does it? I mean, seriously, if you're going to try and meet me at the train station instead of meeting me at my house, what are you doing? Like, really, what are you trying to say to me? Do you just want to just not come with me? Oh my God, the voices were very loud. And I did have enough awareness to go, I'm not answering this at the moment. I just went, I'll get back to you in a few days. And I hung up the phone from her, and my husband went, Chris, what are you doing? I was like, well, it just feels like, she doesn't want to go into the city with me and she'll just find her own way in and blah, 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 blah. And he said, okay, if this was something you were arranging with your best friend, what would you say? And I went, oh, I'd just say, I'll come and pick you up and we'll go to the train station and we'll go from there. He said, so why don't you do that to your daughter? And it really highlighted, I feel very secure in my friendship with my best friend, but I'm not feeling secure in my relationship with my daughter. Again, not anything to do with her, completely my movement of issues that are going on. But it comes down to insecurity. And so once I felt secure in what other scenarios I could maybe propose to her, she immediately went, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. I'll be at your place at 10 o'clock. It's like, well, that was easy.
Oh, the stories in our heads. They're so loud. They're so loud. I can feel my insecurity in my situation based on how you described yours.
And look, it's a hard one to admit. Insecurity is not one we actually like to, I don't like admitting to insecurity because I believe that I'm a very strong, independent, capable person. So insecurity doesn't really come into that definition.
You don't want to wear a big t-shirt instead of saying security, it says insecurity on it? No?
I don't know that I don't know that I really choose that. And so it is tough when we've got a particular definition of what it is we're showing up as. And that's, for me, how am I showing up as a mum, as the moving forward relationship with my daughter, who's now an adult, all of that, and what that is supposed to look like, which comes back to exactly your scenario, which is the showing up in the way that, you know, you're supposed to show up and how many people you're supposed to have, when really, when I just stripped back that and just went, well, what if we just, you get here and we just go to the train station? Oh yeah, that's great. All right, okay then. So strip away all of the perceived expectation and the made up stories about what it should look like or is now going to look like, or all of that. And it became really, really easy. So that was my first thing. The second story is actually about to happen today. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful time to do this Facebook Live today. Because I have a facilitation that I'm doing for a group later this afternoon, my time. And as I mentally and emotionally prepare for that, because I've done all of the paperwork side of it, like that's all done. All of the bits and pieces that I need to take are all sitting on the table, ready to be put in my car. That's not a problem. It's the emotional and mental
preparation
prep. And it's like some of the little voices that I've been hearing in my head for the last few hours has been, oh, will they, you know, it's in the choice of what I'm going to wear, what will be appealing for that group, what will not. They're a group of older gentlemen, so it's like I want to make sure that I show up in a way that makes it easy for them to interact with me. Now these all sound okay, but it's actually still got my insecurity running the show.
Right, because if you were secure in yourself, you would just go with whatever you're wearing.
I could wear whatever I wanted to wear and just show up and do it, and it wouldn't matter, right?
Right.
But it's under the pretense of I need to look a particular way and make sure that that's acceptable. And then even as my husband left this morning, you know, he said, I said, I just hope that they can hear what it is that I'm trying to, you know, facilitate for them. And he's like, well, you'll probably get some grumpy old men because they're old men, so they're probably going to be grumpy. But he said, I'm sure you're going to make them laugh, so that'll be fine. And there'll be one or two that'll engage, and then the rest of the group will follow. And it's like, that comes from a place of perspective. I was coming still from this place of insecurity. I can't control,
not at all,
how they're going to receive me today. It doesn't matter what choices I make in what I wear, in what equipment I take to engage them. I cannot control their response to that.
So what would help you let go of that control?
Oh, well, I figured this conversation was going to do its job, which it's already doing. I'll probably be able to answer that question after the fact.
Hindsight. It's really good at that thing, looking backward.
So I was like, wow, isn't this amazingly timed? So it's a really loud reminder that I get to just show up. And that's it. That's all I need to do, which I believe was the wording you used for your thing on the weekend.
Right. And sorry, I'm just going to flip back to my story for a second, but I in hearing you say the word insecure, I'm totally insecure about sharing myself in a new way. So I was showing up as that because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So I think I put a lot of weight on that, but not knowing, will people like it, want it, show up to it, and will I be okay in front of other people being that way as well? So yeah, total insecurity in there. but I was not worried about what I was wearing. I was good with what I had picked out. So,
But I use that example because it can be as simple as that our insecurity is showing up through. And we will regularly justify the choices in what we wear based on appropriate, is that the appropriate dress for the environment? Is that the appropriate work gear? So I'm wearing a dress like this. Do I need to put it, these sorts of things, do I need to put a jacket on to make it look a little more corporate? Like those kind of questions, which seem on the surface perfectly acceptable and perfectly justified. But when you look a little closer, it should not matter. I turn up with a jacket on or not. But these are the things that go through my mind, and as they build, and if I'm not aware that that's insecurity, that's the little whisper of insecurity, then I've got 101, maybe 101 of those conversations going inside my head, and that insecurity builds and builds and builds and builds and builds.
And it gets, and just like if you go to a bar and there's many conversations happening at once, it gets really loud, becomes very noisy, right?
Yes.
Not one conversation anymore. Now it's 10 conversations in my head about my clothes, my presentation, blah, 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 whatever.
And then by the time I walk in that door, I am not standing in my power. And that's who they need.
Yeah.
They need someone who is not looking for their attention. I need to almost show up, and it's because it's actually not about me at all. As a facilitator, the role is to pretty much go into the background and just hold the space. That's it. I really shouldn't be that noticeable. And yeah, and I would almost
you'd better off be fading into the background, wearing the same color as the wall.
Yes. Correct. So it's that I think that there's so many nuances to when we're talking about letting go of control, because we've got to look at what is underlining the control. Now, I know that my insecurity is definitely a big factor in my life, and it's not always everybody's, but it's common.
I think it's very common.
So that was my second story, was almost preempting. But it's beautifully timed.
We're getting ahead of it a little bit.
Yes. And it's what a gift this is for me, not only to hear you, but also for me to be able to hear some of these thoughts that I've kept inside my head this morning, having an opportunity to say them out loud.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot that you said you were facilitating per se. I was thinking more of you doing some sort of a presentation. And there's a guide that like a teacher of mine in the past, and the expression or the metaphor that he used with me was, just imagine you're the cook of the camp and you're kind of setting out the buffet. And it doesn't matter what the people in the line go to take, whether it's a full plate or a pea or nothing at all. It has nothing to do with you. It's what they're ready for and what they want to consume. And there's no judgment as to whether that's not enough or too much or nothing at all.
And it doesn't make the food bad.
And it doesn't make your worth or value any less diminished because they took a pea or a full plate or nothing at all. You don't know when they came into the buffet line if they ate just before they showed up, or this isn't their cup of tea and someone dragged them here. Like you have no clue. But that's not for you to hold on to and not for you to own. It's theirs.
Yes. And that's the thing to remember as a facilitator. And then the human side gets in the way, right? The mental and the emotional mixture.
There's a lot of layers in there.
And I think I find that for me, letting go of control the way that I successfully do it is to identify what's underlining it. So if I'm feeling like I'm holding on too tight, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm holding too tight, I get into a bit of righteousness and I don't want to let that go. It does take someone else to highlight it for me.
That's
so
helpful.
I'm always in a space where I have to I choose the people that I will pay attention to if they say something like that to me. And then I go, oh, okay, now I have to take a moment and actually assess what's going on. And it pulls me back and allows me some perspective just by hearing what they say. Then I can look at my own issues.
And if you don't have that at your disposal, that clarity because somebody else is in your face pointing it out to you, what are some of those indicators for other people who don't have maybe that outlet right now to let go of something?
Oh, well, first is to recognize, easy one is frustration. If you're feeling frustrated at any level about anything, that is an indicator that you're trying to control something that is out of your control. Whenever I think of frustration, it's all it is. We might get frustrated in a conversation because we can't control what the other person thinks about that same thing, and we think it differently and we want them to change it. So we get frustrated.
Yeah.
Or we want them to pack the dishwasher a particular way and they don't. So we get frustrated. It doesn't matter what it is. So frustration is a really good flag to know that you are trying to control something that is out of your control.
So I agree with you. Frustration, overwhelm, a strong feeling like you're pushing and not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're encountering any of that, to stop and ask yourself some questions about what's going on here. What am I making this mean? Is there a way that I can zoom out and see my situation from a different perspective? Because it shouldn't be that hard.
Yes. So for me today, the insecurity shared loudly. What I put in place is a lot of buffer zone between what I have to achieve today. So I built in lots of space so that I can sit in my comfort zones for longer.
Oh, that's so
which
good.
Brings more comfort to me and helps to counter the insecurity.
I did that intuitively on Saturday. I had my workshop at 7 o'clock at night, and then I basically filled the rest of my day on my calendar with, I said, self-care. And I mean, I still did stuff. However, when I got closer to dinner and my wife's like, are we going to eat with my parents or whatever? I'm like, nope. You go ahead with the kids. I am going to stay home. I'll make myself something. I need quiet me time space to get myself ready. She's like, okay, have fun. See you later. So intuitively knowing that I need that space for myself as well, so that I have that me time, that quality breathing time to prepare myself for what I needed to do.
Yeah. So I just give myself comfort. Now that can be just meaning that I watch a television show that I really like at 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm leaving at 10, or whatever it is. It just is something that makes me feel really comfortable, which really helps that insecurity.
Awesome.
So if you don't have someone to help highlight it for you and that you'll pay attention to, that's the one that I
throw it in your face.
I use. Yeah.
What are you doing? Quit trying to control everything. One thing that helps me just before we head out is just even looking at what is in my sphere of influence, like what is in my control, what can I typically control, and what is outside of that. And If it's anybody other than me, that they go in that outside circle. So it's just, what do I control? And then literally and figuratively let go of anything that's outside of that point of control.
Yeah. And like you said, as soon as you did that, the pressure shifted from you.
Completely.
Like immediately, there was an opening for people to show up.
Yeah.
A bit magical, really.
It was more than freaky timing when I looked at my phone. It was like, wow, that happened fast. So
and it's interesting when we can speak about that letting go, like only controlling what we can, but then we just sneak in and keep trying to control the bit that we can't really.
Oh, I did that all week
sneaking
long.
in. Yeah. But until you got to that point where you went, well, it's Saturday morning or whatever, whenever it was that you went, okay, that's it. That's all I can do.
I can't do anymore.
That's when it shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was my decision point that this is how I'm going to show up, and this is what I'm going to do, and whoever shows up. I can't control that.
Yep.
And that's how I walked my walk literally into the store to talk with the owner, and it just, from that point on, it was just like smooth sailing. So,
well, congratulations to you.
It's a reminder to me to let go more often, especially when I feel that resistance.
Yeah. What a great topic. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for finding a topic that just matched my day today. That's brilliant.
It works so well.